If you read along with me, that's fine. Immersion in symbolic environments, navigating the meaningscape. Who designed this app? What was the motivation? Because we know, and I said so in part 1, that there is no mathematical symbol or symbolism, yeah, when it has to be manipulated, that is neutral. Do not believe it. Yeah, when you see A equals B plus C, you are made to think that therefore B plus C is equal to A. That is what they make you think. However, in practice, you can't get to A unless you add B and C. So it's B plus C in real life, I mean. That will take you to A. Yeah? But when you write it mathematically in symbolic language, it becomes A equals B plus C. And so it leads to what I think Brother Asamoah again mentioned, what is called epistemicide. Because how you think is not what is embedded in the formula or in the equation in terms of how it is written. You know? You see, because the way that we articulate reality is different. And so for the way you articulate reality has to go with the way you write your equation. You know? You see? So there has to be then provision of protocols, rules of engagement. And you saw for Samuel to hear the voice, he was told, this is what you say, you know, Fonu wenyava malatoji. So speak, Lord, for I am listening. So that was the protocol for him to access the internal monitor. You know, Petem Heru, for those of you who are experts, and Brother Scipio has mentioned it, that we can use the nomenclature to begin to talk about these things. So these are part of the rules of engagement, which we need to understand. The Babalao, we saw how he throws the Odu, and through that descends and is able to read reality and then say that this is what you should do, etc., etc. And so number 5 is the integration, so the role of the master. So we are saying that you need to be masters and mistresses, if you like, of this reality. We need, in the 4th Industrial Revolution, Africans must be masters in terms of craftsmanship. We have to build, you know, we have to build these things. Now, you all know the amount of electricity that is needed, you know, to have a data house, a data storage space. It eats so much energy, so much energy. So if we are going to have our data houses on the continent, and South Africa, as I understand, is the leading space now, because they have data stores on the continent. If we are going to emulate South Africa and other countries continentally, it means that we have to now look at energy, the production of energy, you know, and if the hydrocarbons are not good, then we've got to look at solar energy then and see, can we use that? And if we can, then let's do it. That means we need masters. We need people who understand the physics of energy And they are there. There are Africans who understand these things. It's not as if we need foreigners to come and teach us these things. We have Africans who know these things. They are there. And they are there. And so then we lead to the integration of ethics and epistemology. We can't have the situation where we use science to destroy life, because we are very good at that at the moment. In fact, Eurocentricity is very good at that. You know, the splitting of the atom led to the creation of the atom bomb, where that which should have served humanity was then used to destroy Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You see? And that tells you that there was a rupture, there was a fragmentation between ethics and epistemology, that mathematical knowledge was misused, if you like. There can be no, I don't care what you think, there can be no ethical justification for the creation of atomic bombs. In the end, now we see that if it proliferates, it will lead to mutual action. Basically, that we are all mad. It's madness. And that is what the Cheshire cat in Alice in Wonderland told Alice. We're all mad. We're all mad here. We're all mad. In fact, I think we're all mad, you know, at different levels, you know. And so we need the Asamoas, the Benis, the Anyaus, the Michaels, the Michaels and everybody we are hearing. We need you. It is you that are going to sanitize this world with this knowledge that you are now putting together. That's why Natav has an important role to play here. Because ethics has to be back. I'm sorry that Brother Mafole could not attend, because he's an expert on Ubuntu, you know, which is the relational ethics of traditional Africa, that which underpins the African personality, if you like. And so then we go to number 6. So basically, you have to do right, because knowledge cannot be divorced from action, and by which we mean right action. So then we go to cultivation of the internal monitor, which all comes back to you and your relationship with the ancestors, with the still small voice, with the internal monitor, with those yet unborn, with the primordial sound that we say is a primordial sound. And in every we say meaning that ultimately you are the primordial sound. And if or when or should, however you understand God, you are the God. You know, you are God, if you like, because is the primordial sound of creation, the original vibration, which is both physics and mathematics. And you are in Southern Africa, among the Zimbabweans, and so on. We know they also have and a brother they wrote about ism. You see, so this thing we have these things already, but they have been sat upon by the two cultures that are competing with the African traditional culture, by which I mean the Islamic and the Euro-Christian. They are suppressing the African personality, but the African personality needs to come out and assess itself. You see, so the cultivation of the internal monitor. So we are back to Jesse. So Jesse is symbol. Everything's a symbol. Even culture is a symbol. You are a symbol yourself. Everything's a symbol. But in Eurocentricity, in the Western paradigm, where mathematics is ultimately symbolic manipulation, these symbols are dead. They are not alive. In fact, they are not even taught as living systems. When you go into a class and you are told that C squared equals A squared plus B squared, those are just symbols. They have no life. Yeah. The closest you can get to they being alive is if you go to the elements and read the same thing from Euclid, the African. Even that, you are still not near the actual reality. Because you have to ask yourself, how did Euclid come to that understanding and capture that in his theorem? How did Euclid do that? Because before those diagrams that Euclid presents, there was no diagram. So people must have been walking gods or walking goddesses, living beings, or living gods, if you like. And it is they who came up with these things. And then you are getting close to real mathematics. What is being taught in schools is not real mathematics. It's just symbolic manipulation. You have the real mathematics. As someone said, it's inside you, waiting to waiting to be awakened. The secret of life is to have no fear. Stop fearing mathematics. It is you. You are mathematics. Yeah, mathematics. Where does the word come from? Some say it's from Ma'at. Mathematics is from Ma'at. What is Ma'at? Isn't that Ubuntu? Isn't that what it is? Ma'at. Mama avlekliti. We have that in our language. Mama avlekliti. It's not mathematics. That which gives birth to everything. Mama. But mama also means division. To divide is to grow, to give birth. It's all there. We have everything. So we have to train ourselves on the whole system. We need to bring everything together. Everything that I think we are hearing here, what Brother Samuel said, what Brother Benny said, what others will say tomorrow, we have to bring everything together and have a whole system. So we bring to the mind logic and pattern, the heart, ethics and empathy, body, ritual and action, the spirit, ancestral connection. Because spirituality, if you like, is energy. That's what it means. So when those drums are being played, etc., that is energy. So you are a symbol. I mean, look at you. You are a symbol. Everywhere around you is a symbol. Your heart is a symbol. Your leg is a symbol. Your feet is a symbol. The snake inside you. The Nile that is inside you. I'm referring to your blood vessels. That whole river. Those are our symbols, etc., etc., etc. So I'm saying that for us, symbols are not dead. They are not dead symbols. They are living entities. Yeah. For us, A is not equal to B plus C. No, it's B, start with B, add C, and that will give you A in reality. Yeah. Then the consensus craft, which I'll come to more tomorrow, is that right now we have the raw material. We have the three African competing traditions on the continent: the traditional, the Islamic, and the Euro-Christian. And that has left us confused. Another word for confused is schizophrenia, or if you like, dialectics. Dialectical contradiction, if you like. So the AES says they are for Africa, France should leave, and then they go and they welcome America. Then the Zimbabwe that says I won't sign, then they give out the land to the former thieves. Then the Kenyans who were shouting, these guys are doing the wrong thing. We will never accept soldiers as heads of state, Then welcomes Macron on the African something summit. That is confusion. And then we have the North, who don't see themselves as part of Africa, but they're in the African Union. Who speak disrespectfully to us. Although we are not fazed, by the way, by the disrespect. We are who we are. It doesn't matter what you say to us. We are who we are. We are Africans. We are not afraid of anybody. We are not inferior to anyone. We are to use the language of Louis Farrakhan, we are the original man. Man means men and women here. We are the original beings that gave birth to everyone. I mean, children do disrespect their parents. There are children like that. But it doesn't stop the parents from being who they are. You can stand in the road, in the middle of the town square, and insult your father. People do that. But your father is still your father. Your insults will not stop him being your father. So all these people are our children. They are our children. The problem is that the parents are not being parents. But I think very soon, the parents will be the parents. So when you hear an African leader saying to a North American political leader, you can't say this or you can't do that. Now that, if you like, is the beginning of the voice of the parent saying, look, you can't do this. No, this is wrong. And I'm asking you to stop it. Parents have to assert themselves as parents, and then children will listen. Currently, there's confusion on the continent, as I mentioned. Kenya is doing this. Ramaphosa also, we don't know what he's doing. He's governing a space where people are engaged in activities that are not conducive, even to national unity. And we're not hearing from him. So basically, he's doing nothing. Then on the other side of the continent, another president said, "No, I'm doing something about it. Yeah, aeroplane, my children, our sons and daughters, our brothers and sisters, come home." It's confusion. So we have to bring all these together, and I'm suggesting that the Jesse trained mind is the beginning, and by Jesse I mean symbols, every kind of symbol, and therefore the role of mathematics and the role of spirituality, the role of relationality, So that's why Nkrumah suggested philosophical conscientism, which ultimately means that we have to act. And that is where the capital D comes from, which is the operator, which will contain and contradictions. Do not think that you need one language to unite Africa. You don't need one language. That's not what we need. We are a diverse people. Our diversity is our strength. Yeah. So what we need is not is if we get one language is excellent, but one language is not what is necessary to have a continental government. If you look back in history, there have been historically geopolitical entities, huge ones, where the citizens of that space speak different languages. We've had them in history. So the idea that we have to have one language to unite the continent is simply not true. In fact, having different languages is even strong. So then you can translate mathematics into Zulu, into Yoruba, into Ewe, into Ga, into Nguni, the Nguni language, into Luo, into Acholi, etc., etc. Yeah, into Oromo. Translate. The problem is that we haven't translated the classics into our languages. That's a problem. Let's have a system where we translate what they call these classics into our various languages. And that in itself will create jobs on the continent, and so on and so forth. The late Kenyan professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o has been saying this for a long time. In fact, he started writing in Kikuyu, as I understand it. His novel Matigare was written in Kikuyu. As I understand, if I'm wrong, please correct me. He stopped writing in English. He was living what he believed, basically. So we have to start translating these things into our languages. And that is how the Renaissance will come. The Renaissance will come not from English or Arabic or French. The Renaissance will come when the language that our children speak are the languages that are in the books. That is how you will unleash the power of Africa. So the fourth industrial revolution, we must move from irresponsible idealism. That doesn't just include the bomb, the atomic bomb. It also includes formulas that are used to bamboozle us in policy terms. You always see them. There is a mathematics for debt, for debt. Yeah, it looks very nice, but that mathematics is actually a debt trap. That's what it is. There is a mathematics that looks very nice, but when you interrogate it, what you get is a conditionality module where they are telling you to remodel your economy for what? For the capital siphon, so they can siphon out, extract, like mosquitoes sucking blood out of a living person. Yeah. Or vampires. Yeah. These systems are vampiric systems, and they are sucking the wealth, the living force, the agbeka, miap agbeka, that life force, because the mosquito needs it to survive. Without blood, the Anopheles mosquito cannot give birth. So it has to suck blood. So the only way you can stop it is to find a way of preventing the mosquito from sucking your blood. You can do that through nets, through sprays, through removing stagnant water, whatever that needs to be done to cleanse Africa of these vampiric systems has to be done. So we need to move from design for extraction, which is the 4IR's danger to us, that we are now moving to data colonialism, where our feelings, our thoughts, our preferences, our images, our everything are now being digitized and extracted from the continent through algorithmic control. You have to move from there to the Jesse metrics, where we're now designing for harmonious growth, sovereignty, and reciprocity. So tomorrow I'm going to move on to my paper 2, where I show you how we should do it. So that will be like a hands-on. So this is more like, this is a theoretical part. Yeah. Tomorrow I'll go into how do you do it, because remember, Nkrumah showed us how. It's just that we've been asleep. Yeah. As Brother Menzi told us, the ancestors, they told us all these things. If you're not sure, go to the shrine and ask. They will tell you. We have all the answers. So tomorrow we're going to look at the consensus craft, building sovereign institutions. The foundation is now laid. So now we'll pick up the tools tomorrow. But I am also suggesting to you that you need to build your own self-sovereignty. You need to be sovereign. You can't have a sovereign nation when the individuals are not sovereign themselves. And you can be sovereign when you develop the internal monitor and you begin to hear the voices of the drums, the intentionality, as brother Asamo Ananaya, we Asamo Abwedi has. I love that brother so much. I think his ancestor come back to tell us that physics is actually ourselves. Thank you very much.